Originally, I'm from a city and I'm not from a wine region, and in Australia it's not like in France where just about everybody has family who's a vigneron, certainly in the south of France and in most of France really. There's a big connection to wine. Yeah. I'm from a city, I went to a Catholic girls' school. When it came to career choices, this was not even an option, not even something that entered into my head. So my first profession, I was a medical scientist. I analysed blood, which I found extremely boring and wanted to change. But I was very passionate about taste from a very early age, and then travelling a lot, I became very, very interested in taste and discovering new flavours. And as crazy as it sounds, I wanted to change job. I wanted to work something to do with taste. I wanted to live in the countryside. I wanted to do something more manual. Couldn't find the solution. And one night at a party, I was speaking to a chiropractor who told me that he was too old to change and made too much money as a chiropractor. But if he was young, he would study winemaking, and it was the penny dropped. It was it. I knew nothing about how to make wine, how to go about it, what qualifications you needed. So I quit my job as a medical scientist, went and worked a couple of vintages in Australia, enrolled at university, went back, studied at Adelaide University, did a postgraduate in enology, finished that and left straight for France. I was employed by Hugel to be the assistant in the 1997 vintage, where I met Emmanuel. And it was really two people who were extremely passionate about wine and about taste, which, amongst other reasons, why we became a couple. We worked for several years together in France, including for Michel Chapoutier, and then decided that we wanted to go to Australia. Well, in the meantime, I worked in South Africa and in Portugal. We went to Tuscany several times together. And always discovering new tastes, new wines, not only wine but food. And what I realised right from the very start with my experience at Hugel is that there's so many techniques to making wine. When you leave university, you think you know how to make wine. I was taught to ferment aromatic white wines at low temperature, very clean juice. I went to Hugel, they did the opposite. I was tasting the wine was fabulous. So right from the start, I realised that I had to keep my mind completely open. This is how you make wine. You keep your mind open. You observe, you watch. There's no one way, right way to make wine. There's many different ways. So with our travelling and our experiences, we've tasted so many different wines, so many styles of wine. And if you ask anybody who's really passionate about wine what their favourite wine is, often it's not even the best wine you've ever drunk. It's just something that's impressed you the most. So with us, with all our experiences, what is most important for us is structure and mouthfeel, and certainly interesting wines that you put in your mouth and, wow, this is interesting. For me, it's not the aroma that you smell in the glass, which of course is important, but it's not a little fruity, oh, that smells like banana, pineapple, that makes an interesting wine. It's what builds in your mouth once you have the wine in your mouth. And this is why one of the main reasons we're working with wild yeast is because with wild yeast, the wine is different every year because it's the yeasts are different in the vineyards every year because of the climatic conditions. So working this way, every year you're making a wine that's different. You're not trying to reproduce the same wine every year, and it's far more interesting for us. We're much more passionate making different products every year, learning things every year, than trying to just, like Coca-Cola, make the same wine every year, the same taste, so that the client has the same wine in his glass every year. For us, this has no interest. I'm not criticising commercial wineries. You know, I've worked for commercial wineries as well, and they have big markets and can do a fabulous job, and that's the market they're looking for. Their clients want the same every year, but we're a small estate and our clients don't want that. Our clients want interesting wine and they're happy to accept the vintage variation.
So what do you think your clients want?
To be surprised. To be surprised. We have a new client in the United States, and for him, when he put the wine in his mouth, he couldn't believe it. It was things he was feeling things he hadn't felt before. This is what we want. I'm not, at the same time, I'm not saying we're making the best wine in the world and that everybody's going to feel it that way. Other people won't feel that way. But we are small, we don't need to sell 1 million bottles. We're small producers, and we just need to find the right clients, the people who feel the things we feel when we drink the wine. And the other thing we're doing is, we're tiny, we're 4.5 hectares, but we're producing 7 different products, 8 next year. So the idea is not to make life easy and have 3 products and let's quickly process these grapes, get vintage over the way. The idea is every year we're experimenting and learning different things and making different types of wine. And that's why we're in this business. We got into this business for passion, not because we wanted to make money. When I decided I wanted to be a winemaker, I had no idea what a winemaker earned, what kind of salary, anything. But that was completely irrelevant. The idea was to enjoy myself. And for my very first job which was in a winery called Brown Brothers, fairly large winery in Australia, the biggest winery in Victoria. And I loved it from the very start, dragging hoses, using pumps, filters, everything. I just loved it. From the very start, I loved it. And I still, to this day, still love it. I love vintage. I love the feeling, everything's happening. You're working hard, you're working long hours, but this is the time of year where everything's happening. And so for us, it's so important that we keep this feeling, that we're constantly learning, we're constantly trying new techniques, constantly progressing.
Welcome to Domaine Pageot. I'm Emmanuel.
And I'm Karen.